Hello, and welcome back to my apartment where I'm talking to you about life in the 1880s. Today I want to talk to you about what material culture from the time period tells us about the people that we're studying, right? So this time we're going to talk about advertising and how advertising is really coming into its own in the late 19th century. So what I have brought for us today is a selection of things that relate to the Michigan Stove Company, or the Garland Stove Company, Garland Stoves and Ranges specifically. So this is a catalog from 1887. Yes, a catalog, that's right. It doesn't look like catalogs we have today, right? I think the world of the catalog probably is gone with online shopping the way that it is. Probably people don't have catalogs that they're sent to them anymore. But this is a catalog for a stove company. So you can see inside here, this is how you could buy this different stoves. This is what you could look and see the image of them, the little image that's printed in there, and then see what the cost might be. I can tell you right now that if I could buy a stove like this for $30.50, I'd be thrilled. But so they have all these excellent examples here. These are cook stoves. So let's look at this example back here. In this stove here, we would be making our pie either right here or right here, right? So they're inside the oven there. This is where the fire would be built, either coal or wood fire. This door opens, swings open, that looks kind of like a capital letter L, or I guess, yeah, it kind of looks like an L backwards, like a J, I guess. If you open it up, there's a shelf there, so you have one area here, an area here, and an area here, right? So you would have called, that would have been like a 3-sector oven, so section 1, 2, and 3. 1 would be the hottest, 3 would be the coolest part of the oven, and 2 is the middle sort of area. And it's all relative to the location next to the firebox, right? So this is, you could have bought a stove out of this, you could have ordered it through a company, you could have ordered it through a place like Montgomery Ward's, or now, later in the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century, we had Sears and Roebuck as well that people would buy things out of. But so this is an example of how they're advertising this, right? So you can read kind of testimonials all here. Garland Stoves and Ranges will always be kept as far ahead of the times as they are at present. So things like that they were excited about. So, but it goes beyond that. Beyond catalogs and things like that, they had sort of viral messaging that they wanted people to be sharing and wanted people to be surrounded by. It's the same way now. Like if you think about when you get onto Instagram, you see ads for certain things. You might say a word and your cell phone might hear you say that word, and then the next thing you know, when you're on Facebook, well, I guess no one's on Facebook anymore. When you're on YouTube the next day, you've got advertisements for those things, right? Or commercials for those things, right? It's the same kind of idea, just a little bit lower tech. So this is a good example of that. This is a copybook, right? So this is a way that this is a little book that you could practice your penmanship in. So in a previous video, we talked about literacy. So if you haven't watched that one, maybe go back and have a look at that. But you could practice your penmanship by working through this book. So but the fun thing about this book is that throughout the whole of it, every little sentence that you're practicing to write says something like, Michigan stoves are the best stoves, or Garland stoves, are better than any other kind of stove, right? So as you're practicing your handwriting, practicing your penmanship, right, you would be kind of being indoctrinated by this ideology, right? The same thing goes for this here. Now, if you have a wood-burning stove or a coal-burning stove, you have to have one of these. This is a match safe, right? So this is a place that you can keep your matches in. And if you can see on the top, so as we talked about this, the Michigan Stove Company, or the Garland Stove Company is a branch of the Michigan Stove Company. And at the top of this, it says, Michigan Stove Company stoves are the best. So let there be no bones about it. They mean business here, right? So this is another way that you would have this hanging in your kitchen or in your parlor or wherever you had a fireplace or a stove to keep your matches in. And you'd pass by that and you'd say, oh, Garland stoves, Michigan stoves are the best. They are the best. You see that kind of repeated to you over and over again. The last thing I have here, which is one of my favorite things, is this. It's a cookie cutter. Can you imagine? And so it's a little cookie cutter that says Garland Stoves and Ranges, and it says across the little hand, it says the world's best, right? So you can imagine making cookies, somebody making cookies and punching out these cookies and having them to serve to their friends or to their family that say Garland Stoves and Ranges, Garland Stoves and Ranges, Garland Stoves and Ranges. So over and over, this kind of subliminal, well, not really subliminal, this overt kind of messaging to get people to really buy into this idea of you got to buy these goods that we're selling, right? We think about that as a sort of everyday part of our lives now. We think of advertising as being an everyday sort of our lives, right? If you listen to Spotify, you hear it on Spotify. If you're driving down the road, you see billboards and things like that with different ads on them. TV, anything, any media that you interact with, you have advertising on, right? And that is all finding its roots mostly in the late 19th century here with examples like these here. So thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.